Is this thing on? All right, guys. All right, guys. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. This is a Sleuth Crew check-in. We call this Ear to the Track. Basically, talk about what you can expect on the channel in the upcoming days and weeks. We can talk about cases that you guys are covering, anything that's breaking news as far as true crime, and just a place where we can get together, kind of chat about things that have been going on in the true crime community. I have a few items that I want to discuss, but we'll hang out for a little while first in the chat. See how you guys are enjoying your Wednesday. What's going on, Courtney? Christine, good morning to you. Butterfly, hopefully I'm coming in loud and clear. Been having some technical difficulties lately. So a little bit annoying, but we'll make do. Enjoying my coffee, so cheers to all of you out there. Don't forget, we have a members only later tonight. It's the members only live lounge. So it's going to be super casual, super chill. So if you want to have a glass of wine or, I don't know, pop in an edible or whatever, make some tea. It's not going to be super serious. We're just going to kind of hang out and see what's on everybody's mind. It's going to be a judgment-free zone. Good to see you, Jerry. Butterfly. Growing crazy. Top of the day to you. Nana, good morning. Sharon, good to see you. Beth, how's it going? Kitty Cat, what's up? Olivia, too. Melissa. Sparky, good morning. I was going to try to bring in my new little kitty cat, Alice, but she's on a mission. She is not afraid of anything. She's still kind of investigating the house. Good to see you, Sparky. Christine, how are you? Patty, good morning. Phil Bond, good to see you. Doris. Curious Charlie. Shout out to South Africa. Big up to Cape Town. Spy Guy. You got it. Thanks for hanging out. You know, it's a group effort. We'll figure things out one way or the other. Big Worm. Oh, actually, I got something for you, Big Worm. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is.
He gonna cry in the car.
He gonna cry in the car. Timmy, what's up? Brad from outside of the grid, good to see you. Molly. Yep, good news in the Delphi case. You still have all the madness going on, you know. Some people, you know, they have trouble. They have trouble with life in general. Things just don't seem to come easy for some folks. And it's never their fault. It's always somebody else's fault, right? Good morning, little one. CJK, good to see you. Sybil, what's going on? Good morning. My guy, Anthony France, good to see you. What are you doing? I never catch you in these morning live streams. What do you got the day off or what? You're a workaholic, dude. Joe Newman, good to see you. Lance Lloyd, what's up? Cheshire, UK in the building. Guys, I'm telling you, Sleuth Crew, we're everywhere. Frank Meister, good to see you. Says Alice is so cute. How old is she? We think she's just under a year. So we were taking our dog Indy, the one that we rescued. He's getting snipped. He's getting fixed. But we had a huge delay on that because he had valley fever. So we were treating him, with the valley fever and taking him in to get his blood tested and things like that. And so now he's ready. But when we went down to the vet the other day, somebody had dropped off two small cats, two sisters. Somebody just said, "Here, take these cats." Kind of abandoned them there. And the wife and the kids asking me, "Can we please?" And I kind of mulled it over. I was like, they didn't know that I was leaning more towards yes, but they were just kind of like, my wife was like, "Well, if I do this, and that," I was like, "Well, I was already going to tell you yes." So they all got excited, but now they're upset because Alice loves me. Usually all of the animals, I always tell you guys, my wife is like Ace Ventura. She has a thing with animals. So this is the first time one of the animals actually is partial to me. So it's fun. She's kind of following me around. She slept with me last night. So that's kind of cool. What's up, Nana73? Melissa says, I saw a video today showed my suggestions was about Richard Allen working at Walmart and a woman felt weird around him, was on Turbo Time channel from a year ago. Yeah, I saw that video. She interviewed somebody that worked with Richard Allen. Didn't really paint him as like this kind of creepy guy, but I guess there's some undertones, some creepy undertones. And I've worked with people like that, male and female. Just those offhanded comments, here and there. What are you up to today, Melissa? Oh, is it Hather's birthday? Is Hather's in here yet? Oh, there she is. I got something for you, Hathers. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And we're going to hit you with this.
Happy birthday!
Woo! Woo! Hope you have a good day today. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. It's just me. Shout out to all my Delphi folks. The sun is shining bright today. It's just me. I hope you guys are getting back to some normalcy, ready to close that book. Get back to your lives. But we do have sentencing coming up for the Delphi case. I think it's December 20th. And then you got all these weirdos that they just won't accept the fact that Richard Allen, the guy who looks like the bridge guy, was there at the time and confessed. So you guys call it. I can't call it. That's just pure chaos, craziness. Let it go. Let it go. Is that from Frozen? Or am I thinking of a different song? Remember, I have two daughters. Stop that right now. Greetings from Chilly Midwest. Shout out to the Chilly Midwest. It's cold here today as well, too. It was like 40 degrees. I just got done with my walking with my wife. And I'm pretty bundled up. Not Richard Allen bundled up, but I'm bundled. I didn't put on like a whole kill kit or anything. Sybil, how are you? It's been crazy. They can't just let it go. Carry on, people. Right. The jury's been tainted. This is like some kind of a strange mafia movie where they pay off the jury all to cover for the Odinists. I mean, why cover for them? Why not just let them go down in flames? We interviewed Patrick Westfall on this channel multiple times. And he hates law enforcement. He hates Nick McClelland. But if you ask a conspiracy theorist, they're going to say, well, of course he's going to say that. You know, nothing ever is as it appears for some folks. They could have been there when the crime happened, watching, you know, from a bird's eye view with a camcorder, and they still wouldn't believe their own eyes. So to them, that's doubt. You know, you're always going to have doubt about anything if it didn't happen to you. And even when it happens to you, the memory can play tricks on you. So these folks will never, ever be satisfied unless it's, you know, being repeated in real time right in front of them where they can verify it every second. Otherwise, their brains are just mush, I guess. I don't know. I have no explanation for it. Melissa Balboa, what's up? Joe Newman was watching a live last night where they suggested that an African-American juror was let go and Richard Allen was found guilty because of that. If you can make that make sense, you know, obviously the court was racist and they had to get rid of the black guy. You know, they don't like brown people. We can't catch a break, guys. Brad says, which is why I always sing that song, Ain't Nobody to Blame But Me, when they fucking up. Come on. Yeah, and that's truth. And that's the thing. We wouldn't have any true crime to talk about or to discuss if people just took personal responsibility, right? If each individual in this world just said, hey, look, today I'm going to be a good person, regardless of what's happened to me in my shitty life or how great things have been. You know, there would be no true crime. But unfortunately, you got people who are suffering from psychopathy, delusions, you know, medical situations. Add some head trauma to the frontal lobe and some skeletons in the closet. You have a recipe for a killer. What's going on, Sparky? Little one, good to see you. CJK says that's the truth. Those who meddled, lied, interfered are doing it again because they hate the judge and are blaming the jurors now. It's gross. Well, it's not that. It's just that if you don't agree with them and they've allowed themselves to be convinced, you are anti them. So I'm right, you're wrong. Honestly, it just doesn't make any sense. I feel like these folks, they've lost their grip on reality, and we all do that from time to time. But you got to reel it back in. See who's at my door. Oh, looks like it's I think it's the fire or the smoke detector that I ordered. Did you guys know that your your smoke detectors expire after a certain amount of time? And covering the floor fires, I'm all over that. Like, I don't play around with the smoke detectors. I'm actually paranoid about them now. Don't mind Luna. I have my office window open right here, and she's over here barking at the delivery guy. Joe Newman, insinuating that African Americans are anti-law enforcement and pro-crime. Guess what? We aren't. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. People are strange when they are strangers. Happy birthday. Shadowbox. Hope you're having a great day at work. Don't get in trouble with those AirPods. They know you're watching Sleuth. They're on to you. Hey, Jill. Good to see you. Melissa says, I think Richard Allen was maybe the one who killed Jordan in Indiana. I mean, it's possible, but I've been working with Frank on that pretty closely. He was able to get his hands on the entire case folder, and he sent it over to me. And honestly, it looks like it was her boyfriend at the time. He was a piece of shit. But you never know. You know, that's just what it looks like right now. And that's she's referring to the Jordan Sofer case out of Wabash, Indiana. It's a very tragic case. It's a heartbreaking what Jordan went through, and we're going to stay on top of that as well. Good to see you, Joe. Joe, that if an African American juror was on the case, Richard Allen would be found innocent. Yeah, what is that? Make that make sense to me. You got it. Happy birthday. Make sure you have a great day. Kitty cat. Yeah, she's so sweet. She does this thing when you pet her, she like pets you back with her head. You know, she kind of leans in with her head. She's not afraid of anything. She smacked the shit out of Jazzy. Jazzy seems upset that she has to share the bed. She's being a little bit territorial. Rhododendron. Did I say that right? Rhododendron. Rhododendron. It's a tongue twister. Rhododendron. I feel like I'm not saying that right. We'll call you Rod. Good to see you, Rod. Yeah, she's a cutie. Outside of the grid. Yeah, cats will teach you how to lounge, usually on your chest or somewhere where you can't move. Yeah, exactly. And I'm the kind of guy, like I literally, I'll lay on my back. I'll roll over on my side. I'll roll over on my back. Roll over on my other side. And then hopefully during that whole process, I fall asleep. I got a pillow right here. I'm hugging a pillow, and then I have a pillow between my legs. I'm a mess. Hey, Hather's Mirror with the big flex. 54 rotations around the sun today. What does that mean? Spy Guy Sleuth, will you be checking in on the Florida murders? Yes, heavily. Right now, the only reason I haven't been covering it is because I'm trying to work on something. So just be patient with me, and hopefully I'll have something pretty good lined up for you guys as far as information on the Florida fires. So we're going to be taking a huge interest in that case and a few others. So yeah, if you guys have anything on the Florida fires that you think needs to be discussed or is relevant, send it to me. Feel free to do some digging. Also, we'll try to get into the mind of an arsonist. Some people think that this could have been an accident. So if you guys have the time, go look at the case facts, and yeah, you can be expecting my channel to be covering the Florida fires quite a bit. Big Worm, verdict was about to be read. I could hear the train on live. I thought, I hear the train a-coming. Oh, that's Johnny Cash. It's rolling around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I like it. I was watching I don't know if it was Wish TV or some kind of local mainstream media. And all you see is Frank Meister running down the sidewalk. It's a guilty verdict. I was like, oh shit, that's Frank. Couldn't help but smile. Good. Joe says, I then asked the Richard Allen supporters if they would be pro Richard Allen if he were African American. Yeah, what does race have to do with it? People always try to make shit weird and political. And they wonder why I have to speak up from time to time. It's because of bullshit like that. Don't like to get political. Sometimes I have to because people are fucking idiots. I'm not the sharpest tool in the box, right? Don't get me wrong. Molly says, happy birthday, haters. Another trip around the sun. Oh, I got you. Now I get it. Let's go back to that comment. Or was it? I've never heard it said like that before. 54 rotations around the sun today. I'm still in that. I like that. Happy 54 rotations around the sun. Oh, yeah, your father-in-law. I'm sorry to hear about that. I hate funerals. I get a lot of flack from family members because it's hard for me to go to funerals. I don't do well with death. It's like I just try to block it out. It's probably why I'm doing true crime, It's because it's my greatest fear. It's just dealing with these monsters that we live amongst. A lot of you don't realize it. I mean, all you have to do is look at Gary Ridgway. I mean, this dude is suspected of killing 100 women. We're not talking about one tragic death. We're talking about over 100. That's beyond Ted Bundy. So if you guys haven't heard of Gary Ridgway or the Green River Killer, I mean, this guy, think about how busy you have to be to kill 100 women in 1 year even. That was his goal. That means that the odds are against you. There is a chance that when you walk out that front door just to go to the grocery store or to, just to run an errand, you're dealing with a killer. You're coming in contact with a murderer, a rapist, a sex offender. That shit really scares me. My eyes are completely open to it. Doris says, happy birthday, haters. Phil Bond, what are you up to? If Richard Allen was African American, people would not be sticking up for him. Would you? Would you be like, oh, it's my fellow African American? Shit don't work that way. Only people whose minds are a little bit twisted kind of work that way. They can't see past any of that. They're caught up on it. Truffles, what's up? Well, Truffles, the problem is the way they look at things is, oh, well, it's not the truth. It's your truth. You've been convinced. You've been duped. The wool has been pulled over your eyes, not my eyes. Either that or they like that little echo chamber that they're in, Maybe they're fishing for views. They're like, well, as long as I appease this weird group of people, I'll have an audience. Cold and windy, yuck. Lance, we're all Richard Allen. Hell no. I don't care. You can put me in solitary confinement as long as you want. I ain't eating my own shit. You might catch me doing some push-ups, some sit-ups, and some meditation, and maybe some painting. But eating my own shit, nope. Never. Hey, Joni. Shout out to all you Delphians. Delphi strong. Congratulations to you guys, by the way. Catching that piece of shit. People forget what Richard Allen really did, you know. You think of the Delphi murders and you forget about Abby and Libby. You forget about some weird guy stalking them on that bridge and cutting their throats with like some kind of box cutter or something. Imagine your last moment, you're looking up and you're seeing this fucking bold, he had like these bulgy eyes, right? Some creep with his eyes bulging out of his head and he's just looking like a madman, you know? And he's just at your throat. People forget about that. This isn't like some kind of movie where we're trying to convince Hollywood to make a sequel, you know? These are two girls that were brutally murdered. Yeah, he is guilty. 100%. And don't forget, you guys can always email me. I just got an email, by the way, so we'll take a look at that a little bit later. But if there's anything that you want to discuss, cases that you think might be something interesting as far as the true crime content, something that might kind of start a good conversation, help us learn a little bit about what we're facing out there on a day-to-day. That's true, Molly. Molly says judges are very protective of their jurors. Yeah, even the folks, the YouTubers and the media and the people who were in attendance of the Richard Allen trial, they were getting all upset because the judge would come in there and be like, all right, you guys need to shut the fuck up. And then when the jury came in, she's like, oh, hey, jury, like, happy, you know, have a great day. I hope everything's going well. Go ahead and get settled in. You know, she put on her customer service hat. That's how it should be. Those jurors have to be comfortable and they have to be ready to do a job. You know, they're tasked with a very hard decision. It's not a game. You guys might think it's a big game, right? Oh, free Richard Allen, free Richard Allen. Fuck Judge Cole. I'm not gullible. That's gull shit. But this woman is a professional. She's about her business. And she don't fuck around, especially with you trash like you guys. You know, of course she's going to treat the jury with special care. Why wouldn't she? Ryan Jagger, Jeremiah 17:9. Who's that judging people of court? That's like Martin Luther King, right? Judge a man by his content of his character. Actually, let me look that up. I don't think I'm right. What'd you say? 17:10? Oh, 17:9. I thought you said 17:10. The heart is deceitful above all things. Who can understand it? Things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? Sorry, I got that confused with Jeremiah 17:10. And I'm not a Bible thumper. I like to read it from time to time. I am a Christian. All white suburban moms. I asked, what about the thousands of African American people wrong accused behind bars? Yeah, that's true. And a lot of it has to do with just not being prepared for the justice system that we have, It takes a lot of money. So it's really more not about color, but it's more about economic issues. And a lot of black folks are suffering economically. So they fall into that category. But really, if you don't have a lot of money for a defense team, justice in America is paid for. Let's just put it that way. You need to put money aside for something horrible to happen in your future because you just never know. You want to be prepared for that. Always keep money in the bank. Seems like the defense tried to go with some Karen Reed with we could all be Karen Reed, only with a very guilty client, not an obviously framed one. Yeah, I mean, that's not even apples and oranges, Karen Reed and Richard Allen. That's like apples and watermelons. But if you go look at all these people who are supporting Richard Allen, ask them, well, what do you think about Brian Koberger? Do you think he's guilty? No, he's being framed. It's a conspiracy. So the same way that they were, on the Richard Allen bandwagon, they do it with all the accused. It's fucking weird, guys. If you can explain it, I'll hear you. I'll hear you out. CJK, I read somewhere yesterday that Dr. John from Hidden True Crime that's a pretty good channel. What's her name? It's a husband and wife. That's a great channel. And his Patreon, he put out that the daughter and the sister weren't truthful on the stand, but I can't confirm as I'm not in his Patreon. No, we talked about that yesterday. I just don't think being put in that kind of position, his Richard Allen's daughter was asked, and this is the only reason that they brought her on the stand. And I told you this before they even questioned her on the stand, is that they don't want the jury assuming anything. Like, for instance, if they didn't question her, the jury's like, well, he probably molested his daughter. So they called her in as a witness. And the first question they ask, did Richard Allen molest you? Well, if this is the first time anybody's asked you that, or the first time you've ever been put on the spot about it, or even thought about it in a long time, you're gonna lie, especially if your whole family is depending on you. Like, what if she went out there and was like, yeah, like he did molest me, like he molested me, he touched my friends, he's a bad man. Like, that's it. The jury would have been like, hey, we're gonna go deliberate now. So no matter what, I believe the pressure was just too great for her. Those aren't the right circumstances for her to be talking about that. She's under the microscope of the entire world, and she's supposed to tell everybody, and she maybe hasn't even told her own husband or even been truthful with herself about it. Yeah, she's supposed to tell you in the courtroom full of strangers. So I don't know if she lied. I'm just saying I wouldn't blame her if she did lie. I really feel for her, for Brittany. My heart breaks for her. Her life will forever be changed. Yeah, Sybil. So a lot of mine apparently are expiring. So I'm replacing them 2 at a time. They're fucking pricey. The ones I got were like $40. It's like, what the hell? Hather says, Florida girls need justice now. Yep. I'm going to reach out to some investigators, some cold case, people who work on cold cases. We're going to get them involved. Lots of conscious out there. What's going on?
Excellent.
Well, let it burn. Let it burn. What's up, Shane? True crime sleepers, it's good to vacuum your smoke alarms. I mean, to get like all the dust off. They don't seem very dusty. But yeah, I can see why that would be a good idea. Cuckoo. Didn't know that, smoke detectors. Well, when we bought this house, it was 15 years old, and I think they had the same smoke detector since then. Would not be supporting him. I don't know. I mean, it really depends on who you're talking to. People are weird. I don't even know why they brought that up. What a weird thing to say. I hate that shit. My sausage dog is a smoke detector. Not sure what that means. So many indigenous people come up missing every day. Breaks my heart. Yeah, a lot of Native American folks too here in Arizona. When we went boots on the ground for Chelsea Grimm, like we went and did a whole documentary. We went out, we put up flyers all through Flagstaff. We went searching for her out in the woods. But everybody we talked to said, yeah, a lot of people of color and Native Americans go missing out here. And this was in northern Arizona. And I'm talking like almost everybody that I spoke to. So that was a little bit alarming. Olivia, the jurors should not be messed with. Yeah, who the hell? The same people who are saying Richard Allen is innocent, they got it wrong, are the same fucking psychos who are stalking the jury. They went to their hotel. They took photographs of license plates and shit. Who does that? It's weird, guys. Stop doing that. Turquoise, what's up? Was hoping to see KK testify. And I wonder why she didn't. Remember, I feel like the defense wanted to stay away from any information about what Richard Allen was doing that day. From the moment he woke up to the moment he went to sleep. And his wife could have filled in a lot of those holes, and I don't think it would have made him look good. It would have told the story of the bridge guy. Absolutely. What's going on, Shane? Lovely nurse. Welcome. Yeah, appreciate that, Hathers. I'm putting something together for you guys right now. You're like, I'm the boss, motherfucker. I run shit around here. Got you, Shadow. My bad. My bad, girl. Yuck. My apartment complex had smoke alarms. Checks yesterday. 2 hours of alarms blaring in my ears. Yeah, it's good that they're testing them, though. But yeah, that shit's annoying. Reminds me of the fire drills. Melissa, do you think they'll ever find Summer Wells? Seems like they gave up on looking for her. It's sad. I don't know if they've given up on her. I just don't know if they have any new tips. And there's somebody that's not talking. A lot of people suspect the family on that one. But I mean, that place is pretty rural. And if for whatever reason, if Summer Wells was walking out down by the street, some of these predators can't resist. They see this young, blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl, and out in the middle of nowhere on the highway, they're just like, well, it's almost like they blame the parents or blame the victim for being in that situation. Like, well, it's not my fault. I didn't put you on the side of the highway. That's how these crazy folks think. Like with Richard Allen, there was something that happened to him that day where he was acting on impulse, some kind of uncontrollable urge. Joe says, once I called them out, not another word about race. I guess they thought one of us wouldn't be watching. One of us. Yeah, it's like when people are talking about race, they don't realize how racist they're being. They're always talking about how people are racist, but really it's their actions and their behavior that are racist. Anthony, I knew if Richard Allen was found guilty, these nut jobs would say the jury was tainted or some conspiracy. Need to stay relevant somehow. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, let them leave them to it. Leave them in that little echo chamber. If they're not willing to learn from any of their mistakes, they're no use to us. We'll just keep it moving. Molly says, someone making a total generalization that a black person would obviously vote not guilty because of racial injustice. That's that's extremely racist, but that's not the way they see it, right? Remember, these types of folks, it's them. It's it's everybody else. It's not them. Okay, did I say that right, Shane? Rhododendron. Sounds like a robot. Rhododendron. Rhododendron. I don't know why I'm struggling with that. Rhododendron. So thanks for the support, Hathers. Growing Crazy. Welcome to the Sleuth crew and the super sticker. Damn. Thanks for sponsoring today's live stream. Hey, Jinx is in the building. What's up, Jinx? Sleuth, I'll give you all the files. Yes, please send them over to me. Send me everything you got on Flora. We're about to go all in. Just their blatant stereotyping of African American people was appalling. Everything they do is appalling. I'm telling you guys, just look for the patterns. It's that simple. Look for the patterns and everything will be clear to you. Little one says Flora was arson in my opinion. Yeah, 100%. As of right now, it is murder. It is murder. Hey, Kitty Wombalista is in the building. What you up to, Kitty? Thank you. Yeah, Alice is adorable. I'll post some more photos for you cat lovers. Yeah, Jinx knows what's up when it comes to the Flora fires. So I'll definitely lean on her if she will allow me to. The man in black, Johnny Cash himself. Julia, lounging with my fur babies too right now. Laugh out loud. 2 kitties and my pup. They all have their own beds. Then I wake up and magically they're all on sides of me. One of them literally on my back. Yeah, Jazzy was asleep on my wife's chest. I couldn't sleep like that. Maybe I'm just jealous. Leslie Frank was on fire. Yeah, what did he tell? He told somebody it's Mr. Frank Meister to you. No, he was all up in his face. Man, I was watching all these videos that were put up. I don't know if they were put up by Noe, but it was Noe who was filming and talking. Everybody was just annoyed by that guy. Like, how do you just go through life just annoying everybody? Yeah, boots on the ground. We are all Richard Allen. No, you go ahead and eat your own shit, buddy. What's going on, Nana? I was on Fox 59 jumping up and down and hugging people. I was so knowing OK Boy was guilty. Most of us did. Yeah, and I told you guys before the verdict was read that I was confident and that none of us are really susceptible to gaslighting, right? When you see a group of lunatics and you see this group growing in numbers, you start to question yourself, you know? Like, hey, why are all of these people who I thought were somewhat smart, at least I didn't think they were completely insane and out of it, why do they all think this? You know, is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with the way that I'm thinking about looking at things? So you start to question yourself. And that's how they fuel the gaslight, is by growing the gaslight gang. And then they get vicious and violent. They begin stalking, they begin threatening people. And if you don't agree with what they say, you know, you're the piece of shit. African American is not a race. I mean, there are no races. You know, I thought this was the human race. I think I know what you're talking about, Joe. I think I might have somebody sent me a clip of somebody saying something like that. I think I know who you're referring to. Okay, so at the start of the second hour, we'll just kind of go into some of this true crime news that I have for you and some stories that I want to talk to you about. Some of it includes Brian Koberger and a gentleman by the name of Thomas Creech, and then two stories that have recently broke. I want to get your guys' opinions on that. And then we'll talk about what to expect on the channel here in the next few days. It makes them look very racist, Timmy. You got it, Hathers. Two small dogs, both about 15 pounds. Mr. Molly and I are not large people. Somehow the little dogs take up the entire bed and we get pushed onto the edges. That's cute. Never will be ever. Hey, what's going on, Anna? If Richard Allen was African American, the race baiting industry would be all over this case. Black guy in a mostly white town, white Odinist, instant political issue. Yep, be very polar. I hate that shit. And it's today's politics that caused that. You know, the gaslighting in the mainstream. Yeah, Judge Gull's a racist. It was insane to think an African American was kicked off the jury by Judge Gull because he was a person of color. How stupid is that? if your mind is thinking these things, just stop talking. Jinx says, Sleuth, I really don't talk to Fig that much, but maybe you'd be down to join me on a live stream sometime next week. We can chat about it. Let me know. Post me your email or shoot me an email, and we can hang out and we'll talk about floor fires. Leslie says Ridgway's wife did not have a clue. Not a clue. He wore his family like camouflage. That way he would get his victims into his vehicle, which were mostly prostitutes, sex workers. And he would, they'd be like kind of nervous about it. He would open up his wallet and be like, look, that is my name. Here's my ID. And next to his ID would be a picture of his wife and his son. And one time, I think he even killed a woman while he was with his son. Like he left him parked in a vehicle and went and did some horrible shit. Something like that. Oh, you're talking about cannibals? I almost did a live stream on cannibals, but I don't know. It was just kind of, it was hard to cover that stuff. A little bit much for me. There was one case where a guy killed this woman. Well, he raped her, killed her, and then he came back and had sex with her body. I mean, these are the people that were walking, these are the people that are walking amongst us. This man came back and had sex with the dead person that he had just killed. Like, what is going through your mind during that process? I don't know how to make sense of any of that. Molly says, I don't do funerals. When I go, I have a party, tell funny stories about me, party away, have fun celebrating being alive. Mom died young. After that, I've only gone to my father's funeral. Yeah. I mean, I've missed a couple funerals. I missed one of my friends. His sister passed away, and she was a good friend of mine. I couldn't go to that funeral. My grandfather passed, I was very close with. Couldn't go to that funeral. And a big part of it is I think it's because I don't really get along with a lot of my family. And I don't know. I just get weird. And I think it has to do with when I was a little kid. I grew up as a Catholic. And when my grandmother passed away, she was extremely close to me. She was only Spanish speaking. I was about 3 years old when she passed away. Every morning, she lived up on the hill from where we lived in our little trailer in a small town. And I would wake up. I didn't even talk to my parents or anything. I just ran out the back door and went up to her house. She had this parrot that would kind of talk. And, she's this little Mexican lady. She didn't speak any English. And she would just make me these homemade tortillas and the best refried beans and eggs. And when I was little, we kind of spoke Spanish, like we could understand it and speak it. Because where we lived and that side of my family, because I'm half white, half Mexican and part Native American. But when she passed away, it was a Catholic funeral, and they do open casket stuff. And I remember walking in there and seeing her, and then my dad like leaning me over to kiss her, and I gave her a kiss on the cheek. But I feel like that might have traumatized me now when I look back on it. I have this huge fear of funerals and death in general. Words to live by. Dahmer. It's another sick cannibal. The thing about those types of killers is, in their mind, they're keeping their victims. They're eating them because they want them to be part of them. They're extremely lonely. They don't want to lose this person. They kill them so that they won't abandon them. If I kill you and keep you in my refrigerator, you'll always be here with me. And if I eat you, you'll become a part of me. Some really scary people. Yeah, we're going to make a big push, Jinx. Growing says we need to keep working on Flora until it is resolved. Well, and the thing is, it's not going to get resolved if people don't continue to bring attention to it, help generate new leads, put pressure on law enforcement, because that's really all. Cops. This is a job for them in most cases. When they're done, they clock off and they want to go home. They don't want any more work. Especially when they already have preconceived notions about what may or may not have happened. So we have to motivate them. We have to bring people from the outside who are professionals, who are ex-law enforcement, ex-homicide, maybe arson investigators, who will come and start doing their job and telling the public what really happened, what went right, what went wrong, and critique these investigators. They need to do things that are going to spark a fire. Investigators don't want people on their turf. They don't want them telling them their business. So that might motivate them. What's up, AVG? Oh, you're talking about what is it, possible disclosure? Look forward to that. That's more of a Chan 2 topic. But yeah, we're definitely into the UFOs over here. For example, we got that one. Got this one. It's part of a intro I'm working on. The aliens are into true crime, but it's been outlawed on their planet. So they have to come to planet Earth to get their fix of true crime. I got this thing too. Take me to your liter. Little alien head. Anna says Ridgway wanted to get more than Bundy. Yeah, it was like a competition. In one interview, he said, "My goal was 100 victims in 1 year." He just didn't want to pay for the women's services, believed they should give for free. Yeah, these motherfuckers are sick. Remember, they target sex workers for the mere fact that they get into the vehicle, right? They fantasize about killing, raping, and doing all this weird shit. And then the next question is, well, how do I get close to my victim? How do I get close to this victim and fulfill this fantasy without going to prison? Okay, well, I'll target sex workers. Therefore, I don't have to go and kidnap a random person, or I don't have to kill somebody I know. They'll get into the car with me. So that's why a lot of these serial killers target them. Not only that, but they can convince themselves, and multiple serial killers who are willing to come forward and talk to profilers, they say that they convince themselves that they're like diseased vermin. That's the words that I think Rifkin used. Diseased field vermin is what he convinced himself, that he was doing us a favor. And that was the same with Ridgway. He's like, I thought I convinced myself I was helping society by getting rid of these folks. But really, it's just an excuse to kill. And the reason that they target those girls is because they don't want any kind of they don't want any pushback from the victim. They want an easy target. Don't worry, Spy. No worries. All right, that'll do it for the first hour. Let me skip down here and catch everybody that I missed before we get into some of this content. YouTube Bad Actors, good to see you. Enjoying the new video you put up the other day. Yeah, they're going to get the justice that they deserve. True Crime Sleeper says Alan might want to talk during the sentencing. That would be interesting. Yeah, a lot of people are kind of asking the question, will Richard Allen apologize to the family? I think if he does, I think that would hurt his chances at an appeal. But if he does, I feel like at that point he's going to start talking. He'll sit down with media and he'll start to explain things. I think it'll be like a slow dripping faucet of information. Maybe even a little bit of cat and mouse. Screaming Banshee aren't for victims. No, they don't. I've heard some of these people, these pro Richard Allen folks, talking shit about Libby, like saying that she's not a hero, that just because she captured her killer on a video that we shouldn't be giving her credit, that she wasn't trying to gather evidence or to leave evidence. It just happened that she just happened to catch him on camera, that she's not a hero. I don't understand that. I understand that Richard Allen's not the guy for you or whatever, but why does that mean that Libby's not a hero? And why is it that Kelsey is part of the crime now because they found a hair? First of all, remember who dropped them off? Kelsey. Whose sweaters did they have on? Kelsey's. Whose home was Abby? Whose home was she staying over at the night before the crime? Kelsey's. So for you to jump over the fact that it is likely that there's a hair from somebody in that household somewhere at that crime scene, for you to jump over that and to say that she had something to do with it, I mean, you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm ashamed for you. What's up, V Marie? Hey, Cindy. You talking about Indy? He's got those jowls. Place a wager on who has the first book out that's directly involved in the case. Well, I think the Murder Sheet, I think they have a book coming out. I think I don't know. I don't know if Brad or Andy are going to write a book. Maybe they'll call it The Great Injustice or something crazy like that. I don't know. I feel like they're going to make a movie out of it. I mean, it always played out in my mind like a scary Stephen King, movie. You got this creepy bridge, you got the small town of Delphi, and just the name Delphi, itself kind of has like this weird ring to it. Thank you, Sparky. What's up, Susan? The Debbie Collier case needs to be reinvestigated. You're like the fourth person who's mentioned that to me. I'll do some digging. That's if it was his first time, little one. Now that he's a convicted killer, I think we can ask that question. Is there more victims of Richard Allen? He almost got away with the double murder. He put on his I don't know what you would call it. He said he bundled up. He put on his disguise. He covered up to where he could dispose of any evidence. It doesn't feel like it's his first time. What's up, Cheeks? A reminder of the day, just in case anybody was wondering, Richard Allen is still guilty today. Mikey was guilty yesterday and will be guilty until he dies. Do you think he's going to get a life sentence or multiple? Bad actors. I want to barf. Dry time, Rick Snay. We are Richard. Oh, when he said that, it was pretty funny. It's just weird to get so invested into somebody that might be a child killer. Kaylee, Ethan, Madison, Zana. Yeah, we're gonna be covering that case a lot too. There's a lot going on, actually. There you go, Shadow. Good for you. Be careful with it. Safety first, and make sure you go get some training too. That way you're prepared. When you need it, it's going to be a split second. What's up, Foxy Lady? Hey, super chat from Cheeks. Thanks, Cheeks. You don't like to talk about other YouTubers, but fuck Rick Snay. Literally saying Kelsey was involved, and he also said that Libby's not a hero. Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that. It drives me crazy. And the fact that they can say it with a straight face. I don't know if they do it just to annoy people like me, if they're doing it just to antagonize, or if they're being some kind of a contrarian, some type of antithesis. I don't know what the fuck is going on. All I know is that the only thing that you can do that's effective is ignore them. We are dealing with egotistical maniacs, and all they want is attention. You never feed the troll, ever. What is it? Was it Ghostbusters 2? Where they have that slime, and every time you feed it more negativity, it just keeps growing and getting more violent and spreading. It's kind of like feeding the gremlin. You never feed the gremlin after midnight. But when it comes to trolls, don't ever feed them. Don't mention their name. Don't watch their videos. Don't engage with them. Yep. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, Joe. I think it's more of an economic thing than anything. What's up, Rosie, for Rivets? Lauren Matthias. Yeah, they are. And I'm not pro law enforcement, but I'm definitely not anti law enforcement. I'm just more pro truth, pro victims. I'm just pro answers, and I'm not there to prove my answer. See, I think what happens with a lot of these folks who are investigating these cases or covering them, they do a little bit of digging and they find something interesting, right? They're like, oh my God, like I found something. This is it. And then even though they can't prove that it has anything specifically to do with the case that they're covering, they need to convince you of that. And if they can convince you, then you will then be their mouthpiece. And their gang grow. That's how their gang grows. It's like gangrene. And a lot of times they'll lie too. They'll be like, well, I know it's a fact. I know that I'm not just convinced. I know that it's a fact. This person did this. So I'm justified in telling a little white lie to kind of help push that narrative. But the truth is, if you can't prove it scientifically or on paper, and you can't hold it up on the screen to convince me or others, you still have work to do. It's just a fact. Joe Newman, I believe Richard Allen had multiple personalities. Could be. He was a deeply disturbed individual. And nobody can argue that. Right? My YouTube wife, if ever, split with Mustang. That's funny. That reminds me of people I used to work with. They would say, oh, my work wife or my work husband. I don't play that shit. Like, imagine coming to pick up your wife for lunch or something. She's like, oh, I'm just talking with my work husband. I go, what? Squeeze me? Can you say that again? Sybil, I don't know if they lied, but I can see why they would lie. Right? You've never talked about your father, and what she's referring to is the question to Richard Allen during the trial, or Richard Allen's daughter, Brittany. And my heart goes out to Brittany, 100%. I feel for that kid. But they asked her, did your father ever molest you? She's not, even if he did, she's not going to be honest. Or she has every reason not to be. You know, I'm not going to, that's something you tell your therapist or something, right? She may not have even told those secrets to her new husband. Crazy. Hey, Nana73, generous super chat. Sleuth, keep going, and you're good about bringing out all important points. Make us think. Thanks for that. Dr. John also said that sex offenders always say, I think I may have. Blah, blah. They test the waters. Yeah. It's like percentages of the truth. First, it starts out with 10%. Like, oh, I was in the area. And then it's 20%. Yeah, I was there. 30%. Well, I had an argument with that person, but that's it. And then it goes, 40%. Well, yeah, we got into a fight and then I left. I don't know, what condition they were in when I left. And then 50%. It's like, yeah, I killed them, but it was self-defense. And then eventually you get up to like 80% where you find out that it was murder, cold-blooded murder, but then the suspect will never give a side of the events that makes them look like shit, right? They're going to leave out all the sick stuff. Like, well, what did you do after you killed them? Oh, I took photos of the victims, or I'm a necrophiliac, or, they leave out all the shit that makes them look sick. But the truth, that's how it comes out. The truth comes out in percentages. And it's always like 10, 20, 30, 50, 60. And then you're lucky if you get 80% of the truth out of them. So when Richard Allen was confessing, his most detailed confession to Dr. Walla was, he was with his mother and his sister. They went to lunch. He blew him off, went and got a 6-pack, went home and got bundled up, went to the bridge. So he's telling probably 20% of the truth. Like, for all we know, he was communicating online with the girls somehow, stalking them one way or the other, was angry about something that happened. Instead of a 6-pack, he was smoking meth or, something like that. Says he got startled by the van, forced him across the creek, killed him, and covered them with sticks. For all we know, that's just 20% of the truth. All right. So this was an interesting article. We'll start with this one. We're not going to go into too much detail on this, but I just wanted to share some of these true crime stories with you. But before we get into this, guys, I am going to go fill up my coffee. but I'm going to share my screen. So just bear with me. I'll be right back. All right. So it looks like the cats are getting along today. Okay, now this is a very disturbing story here. The title of this article, California man accused of killing husband and wife, burning their bodies in the desert, and stealing $250,000. This is in quotes here. Depravity does not adequately describe the callousness involved, the Orange County District Attorney Office said. This is by Kimberly Speakman. Was published earlier this morning. Thanks, Leslie. Yeah, if you guys could hit the thumbs up, share the video on your X feed, YouTube, Facebook. Might be able to get some more folks in here. Melissa said he made his coworkers nervous at Walmart. He was a manager assistant, and he would go with them to get Burger King, and they felt uncomfortable, and he always said weird things to them. Yeah, I bet. Yep. Well, I don't even know if it would be for the sake of her mother, but if, let's say that she came out, let's say he had harmed her as a child, and she came out and said something during the trial, like they would blame her. Everybody would blame her if he gets convicted. Like, it's your fault. And what people don't know is that when Kathy sold the home that they had in Delphi, she kept all the money and moved in with her daughter. So they had plenty of money for an attorney. Molly says, I don't know if she lied, and good for her. In my opinion, if she did, it's horrible what they did to her. She's just another of Richard Allen's victims. Yeah. Breaks my heart every time I think about her, because she seems like such a sweet kid who's just trying to live her life just like Abby and Libby. They would probably have fiancés right now, be in their second year of college, maybe even have children of their own by now. It's just really fucked up what he did to them. Like, this isn't some some script that a writer wrote for a movie. This is something that happened to people. And it's going to continue to happen. It's like I use the analogy of a nuclear bomb. Like the murder itself was the nuclear bomb it's going off. But you have to remember you're going to have nuclear winter, you're going to have nuclear fallout, the cancer causing radiation. So this crime is still creating victims to this day when it comes to the Delphi case. All right, let me read this article for you. I was kind of tripping out on it. Thought I'd share it with you this morning. A California man has been charged with killing a husband and wife, then setting their bodies on fire in the desert on Tuesday, November 12th. So this was yesterday. The Orange County District Attorney's Office announced that 30-year-old Huang Ting Gong of Glendale was charged with special circumstances murder over the deaths of Quanlun Wang, 37, and his wife Jingli Wang, 37. Gong has also been charged with a felony count of kidnapping, 2 felony counts of arson of property, and 2 felony counts of first-degree burglary. If convicted, he is eligible for a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The district attorney's office added Quanlun was first reported missing by a family member October 15th who told the Brea Police Department they hadn't heard from him in several days, which was very unusual according to the district attorney's statement. The family member added that Quanlun had also told them he was owed $80,000 by Gong from a business deal per the release, and that Gong had told them on October 12th that the husband and wife were supposed to meet with another business associate in New York City to receive the outstanding $80,000 but didn't show up. 2 days later, on October 14th, the family member said they attempted to contact Gong again after seeing a man on Quanlun's patio on surveillance video. However, he denied that it was him. After that, their access to the video surveillance system was cut off, per the statement. According to the district attorney's office, Gong allegedly met Quanlun in the desert on October 12th, where he shot him in the head before stuffing his body into his Tesla car and driving back to the family home in Brea. He is also accused of attacking and hitting Zhang Li with a hammer while forcing her to give him her phone's password. Yeah, what a nightmare. Gong then allegedly put Zhang Li in her own Tesla car and drove her to a desert area in San Bernardino where he shot her and then burned her body. He allegedly did the same thing with Quanlun's body by burning it and disposing of it in a desert area in Riverside County. The district attorney's office said that after Gong disposed of the 2 bodies and Teslas, he returned to the Wang's home on October 14th and stole nearly $250,000 worth of watches, shoes, handbags, and clothing. Depravity does not adequately describe the callousness involved to kill a human being and then drive around in the victim's own car with his body inside in order to carry out the rest of his plan, said Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer. No one deserves the fate of being executed and then set on fire in the middle of the desert in a desperate attempt by a killer to cover up his crimes. We are committed to pursuing justice for the victims and their loved ones, he added. So this is the shit that you're going to be faced with when you step out of your home. And don't ever meet anybody in a desert, please. Ever. And then there was a case that I was kind of keeping up with of Nicholas Wayne Hamlet, and I guess they caught him not too long ago, but we'll take a quick look at this one as well.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us for WVLT News at 10 o'clock on the CWI. Will Puckett, Casey, and Ted are off tonight. It's now been almost 2 weeks since the search for Nicholas Hamlet began, a man facing a first-degree murder charge out of Monroe County tonight. Our Sam Luther joins us in studio. Sam, an update today from investigators on what's a pretty bizarre case.
Yeah, Will, it's a situation Sheriff Tommy Jones said he hadn't seen anything like in his 26 years there in office. A 911 call for help claiming there was a bear attack, but it was the very person who called law enforcement that's now facing a first-degree murder charge, and he still hasn't been caught yet.
Mr. Hamlet is considered to be armed, and he is considered to be highly dangerous.
Along with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, the FBI is now involved in the search for Nicholas Hamlet, who they say is wanted for a parole violation out of Alabama and traveled to East Tennessee and called 911 near the Cherahalla Skyway in Tellico Plains, claiming a bear attacked.
He advised the dispatch that he had fallen off of a cliff while being ran by a bear. The distress caller claimed that he was injured as partly in the water.
Hamlet used a fake name.
Okay, so this guy right here, his last name is Hamlet. So he befriended this guy only to kill him later, 3 months later. So he earned this guy's trust. He lured him out, I think, into the woods and then viciously murdered him. Then after he killed him, he called 911 and said, I was just attacked by a bear, and was kind of vague about it, so that when they found the body, they would think that his victim was attacked by a bear. See, this is the sick shit that's going on in these people's heads. So when you ask, okay, well, why did Richard Allen come forward? Or why do these killers come forward? Because there's something wrong with them. They've convinced themselves one way or the other that that's a good idea, or what they're doing, they're outsmarting the investigators, or they're controlling the narrative. That's why a lot of staging happens. They want to kind of confuse the investigators. And that's why Richard Allen was probably trying to put the clothing back on Abby and Libby to undo what was obviously a sexual assault or an attempt at it. Let's go to Kitty's comment right here. It says, Lauren from HTC said she has been receiving death threats from pro-Allen cult members, and Dr. John actually read the email. That's terrifying. What kind of threats? That's interesting. Why would they threaten her? She seems like a wonderful person. And Dr. John seems like a cool guy. He doesn't even seem like he even wants to get on camera and do all that. He's just kind of like, all right, I'll do it. So he's not there for clicks and, hey, look at me. So I don't understand why anybody would want to threaten them.
And when a search team went to the area, they didn't find Hamlet, the man who called police. Instead, they found a person from East Tennessee who investigators say died from blunt force trauma to the head and not a bear attack.
He did know this victim. He has known him for quite a few months now.
Details on the victim are limited, but several agencies are now stressing the importance of finding Hamlet. He has ties to Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, North Carolina, and even Alaska. He's considered armed and dangerous.
There is a risk to the public. This was not an isolated incident that by any means.
Yeah, they recently caught this guy. But I thought it was an interesting story. But because of time, I need to move on. So the name of this gentleman, if you guys want to look at this case, Nicholas Wayne Hamlet. Okay, so we're going to kind of transition over to the Idaho 4 real quick and into Thomas Creech.
Yeah, there are still a lot of unanswered questions in the Brian Kohberger case. If he goes to trial, if he is convicted, if he's sentenced to death. But today his attorney said they want the death penalty taken off the table. Weeks shy of the 2-year anniversary of the murder of University of Idaho students Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, Zaina Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, their accused killer, Brian Kohberger, was back in court.
We think that the court ought to strike the death penalty in this case.
His attorneys call Idaho's execution methods cruel and unusual.
But when we're talking about the recent history of what's happened in Idaho, there are problems, and there are real problems.
The defense citing the recent failed execution of Idaho inmate Thomas Creech.
Do you guys remember Thomas Creech? This guy's a fucking creep.
He was scheduled to be killed by lethal injection this month, but doctors failed to find a vein and called the execution off.
You're saying take the death penalty off the table, don't let the state put on that evidence because the current methods, in your view, are either unavailable or unconstitutional. But the reality is if he is convicted, we know it's going to be a decade plus before that sentence would be carried out.
I like this judge. He's like, yeah, you might not like the methods that we have now, but you know he's going to sit on death row for, 10 years or so. By then, we'll get it worked out. So don't even worry about it.
And who knows what the methods may be then.
Prosecutors claim the state not only has lethal injection drugs, but also a backup method of death by firing squad
Really,
if lethal
V?
injection isn't available.
Deciding the method of execution is not deciding the sentence. The sentence is death. The method of execution is just how that's brought about.
I think to have him sit on death row and say, Idaho's going to figure out how to kill you at some point in the future in a way that isn't cruel and unusual and in violation of your rights, I just don't think that the constitutional protections allow that to happen.
Look at Brian Koberger's face. He's just staring at her.
I just don't think that the constitutional protections allow that to happen.
Oh, weird guy.
So the judge took everything under advisement today. He says he's going to issue a written ruling at a later date. I talked to an attorney who's handled these cases, and he said that it's unlikely that the judge will dismiss the death penalty at this stage in the case. But he also said this could be good material for a potential appeal if Koberger is convicted. The trial right now is scheduled to start late next summer. Reporting live in Seattle.
Actually, Andy, there is a really popular, it's like a 3-part series on the Evansdale murders that was recently released on Max. I recommend checking it out. It brought a lot of attention there. A lot of people that I work with here behind the scenes have been out there to Evansdale working on the case. Some very capable people. They seem to have a good idea who committed these murders. They're just trying to put it all together now. So I think we're going to have some answers on that case pretty soon, Andy, actually. So if you guys heard that, the attorney's bringing up what happened to Mr. Thomas Creech, who is basically a serial killer. He started murdering back in the 70s. So let's listen to what he had to say about that. And this is pretty recent.
When they mapped my veins a couple of nights before, and they see exactly where the veins were at, I could see them. I watched them map them. So that I thought, man, I'm gone.
3.5 months ago, Thomas Creech narrowly avoided death after a death warrant was signed. Idaho's longest-serving death row inmate was supposed to be executed in February, but after 8 attempts, an Idaho Department of Correction medical team was not able to get an IV into him.
Creech and his wife reached out to me recently. He wanted to finally share why he believes he dodged the state-sponsored execution and what it was like. A judge sentenced Creech to death in the early 80s, saying Creech, quote, intends to keep on killing and can't be stopped. Decades later, Creech says he wants people to see he's a changed man.
What's up, caricature?
Around 10 o'clock in the morning on February 28th.
I fully believed that I'm going to die.
Thomas Creech expected to take his final breath.
I convinced myself that that was it. So they came in to the death cell, handcuffed me, strapped me to the board, and then they put me on a gurney and they wheeled me in to the execution room. They started adjusting my hands and legs to strap me down. And then the warden told them to go ahead and proceed with the execution. I looked over to the right and I saw my wife sitting there. She had the most devastating, horrible, terrorized look on her face that I have ever seen in my life.
His wife, Leanne, was crying, sitting next to his priest. His son was there. Creech says he looked mad.
They started in my right arm, up by my elbow, and that was the first place that they poked me. I could feel it.
Creech remembers a total of 10 attempts, but IDOC says they tried and failed 8 times to establish an IV line where they'd inject pentobarbital into Creech's veins.
I don't know if it was wishful thinking or I actually saw, but I thought I saw angels standing on each side of my bed. And I think I started crying.
This guy's killed a handful of people.
To die, and told my wife I was sorry.
Creech tells me his veins collapsed, meaning the veins' walls squeezed shut, preventing blood from flowing through. Just under an hour later, at 10:58 a.m., IDOC leaders announced they were halting the execution.
What they encountered in some instances was an access issue, but in others where they could establish access, they were unable. It was a vein quality issue that made them not confident in their ability to administer chemicals through the IV site once established.
My thought was just a divine intervention. It's the only thing I could think of. Otherwise, I would have been dead. I believe it was God Almighty that
What's up, Beach
had
Ferry?
his hand in it, that stopped it.
The Department of Corrections medical team, escort team, and incident command staff trained for and rehearsed his execution multiple times. Although Creech says they never practiced on him. IDOC requires medical team members taking part in an execution place IV catheters and establish drips in at least 2 volunteers within the year leading up to the execution. And in the 2 days prior to the execution, they have to take part in at least 4 training sessions and 2 rehearsals.
Because when I was in the death house for that 30 days before the execution, every 2 or 3 days, they would take me down to medical and they would practice doing the execution. They would go back and forth into the room and have somebody act like they were me.
Medical staff even mapped out his veins in the days leading up to the execution. But he says IDOC knew it was a challenge to get needles in his veins.
You have
Lucky
bad
motherfucker.
veins. Like, this is something that IDOC knew, and this is a health issue you have, correct?
Just stick the syringe right in his head.
They've known this forever. Even when they did blood draws on me for diabetes and stuff, they had a hard time accessing the veins. So my attorneys had warned them about this, but apparently they didn't take it to heart.
Since the failed execution,
It's really bad.
Creech says his health deteriorated.
Some days I'm not even sure if I'm going to live to the next day. I continue to have the nightmares. One of the dreams I have is I wake up and I'm back on that table again. And they're sitting around me, putting the needles at it in. And then the other one that really terrorizes me is I go into that room and it's my wife that's on the table and not me.
His death warrant expired that night, and a new warrant hasn't been issued.
When you're under the death penalty, not knowing from one day to the next if you're going to get a death warrant or not, it's
Death
really
warrant.
bad. I mean, it plays on your mind every day. Like I said, I'm no saint, but I feel bad.
What's up, Steve?
As bad as a person can possibly feel.
Creech and I talked about the murders he committed back in the 70s, the ones that first landed him in prison and got him his first death sentence in Idaho.
I actually have some old videos from Creech. There might be some commercial interruptions, but this is that person, I think, back in 1981. He talks about his murders, and he's much more cold-blooded in these interviews. And you can see why he got the death penalty and why he deserves it. It's good to see you, Beach Ferry.
Coming down the road, yes, the hangman is coming down the road, and I know he's coming after my soul.
Tom, can you tell me
What's up,
why
Stephanie?
you plead guilty? Because I'm guilty and I want the death penalty. You want the death penalty? Yes. Why? I'm ready to die. So it's pretty hard sometimes to live with all the things I've done. I mean, you have dreams about it, wake up in the middle of the night. You think you see somebody in your cell that you've killed or something. It gets kind of hard sometimes. So versus life, however many years I would have left to live, I'm 31. I guess I would probably live at least another 40 or 50 years in a
And he did.
11-foot cell like they have under prison. Forget it.
Availability is the best ability, so I push my body to its limit. That's why I soak and
Yeah, we'll walk those steps together, but only he'll be coming back.
In 1976, Thomas Eugene Creech was sentenced to hang for the murders of two men near Cascade, Idaho. A U.S. Supreme Court ruling struck down Idaho's death sentence, and Creech was given a reprieve, 2 consecutive life sentences. A reprieve which allowed him on May 13, 1981, to kill 23-year-old David Jensen, a fellow inmate in the maximum security section of the Idaho State Prison.
So he was on death row. They took him off death row, and he killed his cellmate.
Over the years, Creech has confessed to 42 murders. Now he has narrowed that list to 26, a list that includes 9 persons he says gang raped his second wife, a homosexual in San Francisco, 5 dope dealers in Ohio, and the 3 persons in Idaho. Creech says Jensen's death was the most senseless because Jensen shouldn't have been in maximum security with
Oh, yeah. We did a live stream on Pazuzu.
other hardened criminals. There are some who say Creech shouldn't have been there either, that Creech should have been executed a long time ago. Now Creech is asking for the death penalty. The poet Horace referred to death as the downward path. Tom Creech has been stalking the downward path since he was 15, when he killed for the first time.
Andy. Turkey or turd?
First time to do any hard time.
Turkey with the side of turd.
Armed robbery? Mm-hmm. What age were you in? Well, I did military time before I did armed robbery time. But I was 18 when I first got
Confronting? Watch Confronting.
You'd already killed when you were 18. Mm-hmm. Nobody had found out about it, is that true? No, I tried to tell different people. In fact, that was one of the reasons that I left home when I was 15 and ran away. Was that I tried to tell people some of the things that I'd been into.
What's up, Callie?
And everybody seemed to think that I was just playing games with them. Why did you kill 15? The first person I killed, or that I can say I was responsible for killing, was because of an accident that happened to my girlfriend. We was going to be married, but we never were. Accident that killed her, and I held the guy responsible. Car accident? Mm-hmm. Okay, what did you do? So later we went out, and another person was with me, and we were racing over by Mason, Ohio, and we ran him off the road. And you got in the car. You didn't actually take a gun out? And no. Did you get any sort of thrill out of that, or was it revenge? How did you feel about that? I thought at the time that I was doing the right thing. That, you know,
Insurance companies are bullies.
In the way certain things that happened in my life, I felt the only way to get even or to avenge some wrong was you do it all the way. You don't half do it and then let the guy come back for the second chance. I got a fight in school and I'd just gotten some new clothes. I think it was right at the start of the school year. You were about how old? 9 or 10, something like that. And I got in a fight at school, and I didn't fight back. And the little guy that beat me up pushed me down, and I'd ripped my pants.
What's up, Denise?
And I got a spanking for I guess actually it was for ripping my pants, but it was explained to me that I should have at least fought back. And after that, I did start fighting. I even went back and beat the same little guy. I beat him about half to death.
Thank you, Jinx.
My father, that I should always fight back. That I should never just let someone push me and get by with it.
What's up, Saint?
He was a pretty stern man. I got whipped a lot. But you didn't dislike your father? No, I love my father very much. I was fairly close with my father when it comes to outdoor things, like fishing and hunting, because I was the one out of all the children that was into guns and liked the outdoor life. That's probably why I didn't do well in school. I liked the outdoors too much. But as far as really sitting down to him and really talking to him, I never did do that. We never did.
Never talked about human values or anything?
No. We did talk about some things like that. Standing up for what you believe in and stuff like that. But for really sitting down and talking to him for any length of time, I just never did. It hurt him a great deal to see his son
Christopher, that's funny.
grow up and, go to prison and stuff. I don't think that he died before he ever knew that I committed any murder, so.
He knew that you were in prison, but you didn't know all that you had done.
He didn't know everything that I'd done, no.
How do you think he would have reacted?
It would have broken his heart, probably, to see one of his sons do the things that I've done. He came to visit me. I was in Chillicothe Correctional Institution, and he came to visit me on May 31st, 1970. And we had just finished eating
Me too,
dinner.
curious.
There you're allowed to bring in food to the inmates. And I looked over and I'd been talking to my mom, my youngest brother, Joey, and I looked at my father and he was slumped over at the table. And I lifted him back and he was just all blue and he was having a heart attack. There they have what they call inmate nurses. They called one to go to the hospital to get the oxygen, which by walking is only a 3-minute walk. And he took a truck and it took him 27 minutes to get it. So my dad died. And I told him that when I come back from my father's funeral that I was going to kill him.
The cold shoulder.
No, I tried, but he didn't die. He wouldn't die. I stabbed him 18 or 19 times.
Were you ever charged with that?
No, they sent me to Longmont State Hospital for criminally insane. And I spent 14 months there.
You still have hatred for, I think you have a list of 3 people that you want to kill. Is that person on the list?
This motherfucker has a kill list.
No, you don't still have any hatred toward that person?
Well, it wouldn't be a good idea to have me around him if I ever seen him again, I don't think. But
So his father came to visit him while he was in prison for murder and had a heart attack. And I guess a guy who could have helped him, he could have went to this room, which was 3 minutes away, to get, an oxygen tank for his father, but instead jumped in his truck and did something. He wasted time, apparently, according to Creech. And Creech stabbed him 13 times, tried to kill him because he blamed him for the death of his father.
the ones that
and this is so he's able to claim victims while he's in prison. He killed one of his cellmates and an employee of the hospital. Or almost did.
Possibly would kill if I had the chance would be the ones, 2 of them raped my wife that was involved in the rape, and the man that started the whole thing. That was actually the reason behind the whole thing happening. It happened because of drugs, a shipment of drugs that never got to where they were supposed to be. And we were accused of taking them. And
You were dealing at that time?
Yeah, Beach Fairy. Did you see how old he was in that recent video? I mean, look, he's a young man here.
I was a runner for some people out of Nevada. And I decided, my wife and I, that I wasn't going to run drugs no more. And I tried to quit. And the people didn't want us out. They wanted us to keep running. And so I told them that I had the drugs and a little black book hidden, and I was going to turn it over to the Federal Strike Force Against Organized Crime if they ever bothered me or my family, or if anything happened to us. So eventually they had me set up on a burglary bus and put in Rocky Butte Jail in Portland. And while I was there, they sent the people to my house to find out, thinking my wife knew where the drugs and the book was at.
Was there a book?
Yeah, they were. But she didn't know anything. So when they found out she didn't know anything, they raped her and then threw her out the window thinking it would kill her, but she lived through it. And she was able to identify 2 of the people, but doctors had declared her mentally incompetent because they said it was such a traumatic experience for her. And she was all broken up and stuff.
So she couldn't testify against him? So they couldn't make no arrest because of her testimony. They couldn't use it because of her being incompetent. So at that time, I decided to go do it myself. Why? I think there's a list of 11. So that there's a list of 11 that were involved. All 11 were in that apartment? Mm-hmm. Plus the girl that drove the van for him, which was Jane Radford.
Jeez. Well, that's Mr. Creech right there. He's the one that says that the reason they weren't able to kill him with the lethal injection was because God intervened. And that when he was sitting on that, I don't know, what would you call it, a gurney? That there was an angel on his left and an angel on his right. That's insane. Sorry, guys, I'm looking for something right here. I don't know what happened to it. Okay. So, members, we are getting together a little bit later today. This is going to be extremely casual, you know, kick off your shoes, relax your feet type of scenario. Members only live lounge, nothing too serious. If you guys want to have a glass of wine, pop one of your edibles, make some tea, shoot the shit, talk about true crime, talk about whatever we want, really. That's what these live lounge episodes are all about. You know, just no judgment. We can talk about whatever we want. Nothing is off the table. So that'll be at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then this is really more of a 411 mystery case. This was sent to me by Julia Burns. So shout out to you, Julia. Thank you for that. But the more I've been looking into the case, the more I wanted to cover it. So we will be covering this on True Crime in the Morning on Monday. This will be episode 53. Mysterious death of star football player Colin Finnerty. Not a big football fan. I'm more of a boxing, MMA type guy. But let me see. Maybe I'll play one of these little videos here.
Tragic news to report tonight. The body of former GVSU standout quarterback Cullen Finnerty has been found. A search team found his body in a heavily wooded area near Baldwin, about a half-mile away from where his boat was found Sunday night. 24-hour News 8's Mark Thompson's been bringing us updates all night long on woodtv.com, and he's live at the command center tonight. Mark.
Brian, just a sad outcome here in Lake County. The body of Cullen Finnerty was found at around 7:40 tonight. This after an all-out search today. Now investigators are trying to determine exactly how he died. According to the Lake County Sheriff, the body was found in the woods beneath the heavy foliage of pine trees about a half-mile north from the entrance to the Bray Creek campgrounds. This is near the area where Finnerty's boat was recovered on Sunday. He had been fishing in the Baldwin River and made a cell phone call to his wife, saying that he was nervous and afraid. That was the last time anyone heard from him. A ping on his cell phone prompted an all-out search over the past 2 days. The Michigan State Police helicopter was unable to locate the body from the air. Finnerty found by a professional grid search team on the ground.
We don't know exactly how long Mr. Finnerty has been in that location, but the first night that it was called in, the family had been in that area calling, that kind of thing, to see if he was in that area, and they weren't able to find him.
The sheriff says Finnerty still had on his waders and coat. Any visible injuries?
None. Doesn't look like it, no.
This, of course, a huge blow to the GVSU community. A busload of current and former players and coaches assisted in the search today, hoping to find him alive.
When one of our guys are in trouble there, everybody's going to come and look.
Now, the sheriff says that they're treating this area as a crime scene, but they don't suspect any foul play at this time. Finnerty's body will be transported to...
So they say he died by pneumonia. Somehow he inhaled his own vomit, and that caused pneumonia. But he made a strange call to his wife saying that he didn't feel safe. He thought that somebody was stalking him, and that for whatever reason he needed to get out of his clothing. So to me, it sounds like psychosis, possibly, right? But it's definitely a mystery, and we're going to dive into this one on Monday. That is the case of Colin Finnerty. Very mysterious death. And then the following Monday, which is the 25th, for True Crime in the Morning, we're going to cover this case here, Micah Miller. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this case here. It's been in the news recently. The husband's home was searched by the FBI relating to Micah's mysterious death. It was officially ruled a suicide, but from the day that it happened, I myself have been very suspicious of her husband, just by the way he's kind of come out in the public and what her friends are saying about it. And they were in the process of a divorce as well. So I can probably play you one video from that. I think this is an interview with Micah Miller's husband, John Paul Miller.
The community and family outcry didn't stop with the official ruling of suicide. So our Mike Owen asked JP to address their concerns directly.
Did you ever physically abuse Micah?
Never once in any way, shape, or form. Not in any type of abuse, not physical, no type of abuse ever.
I just don't trust this guy. I mean, I just feel like he's not being honest, like he's lying.
I took better care of her than any man could have possibly taken care of her in every way. She never had to cook a single meal. She never had to clean, not one time. She never had to work. All she had to do was take her medicine and enjoy her life. And I did everything I could to protect her from the abusive people who were trying to stop her from taking her medicine.
Can you tell us about some of the mental health episodes she's had in the past?
Sometimes it's high, like she wants to give away every drop of money we have or buy people things, and sometimes it's low and she wants to stay in bed, or she talks about how she needs to, she wants to end her life.
Is it accurate to say that you've had a history of disagreements with Micah's family over her need for medication?
That is the most accurate statement you could ever make.
Why did you think she needed medicine?
If a doctor, especially 7 doctors, especially nurses and counselors, all say this woman needs medicine or she's going to commit suicide, you tend to believe
yeah, that's right, Callie. What is it, between 25 and 30, I think, is the age. And a lot of these missing persons cases, like the Aiden Clune case, Daniel Robinson, they all involve like delusions and wanting to strip their clothing off. And that's because they're literally under psychosis. They're hearing voices in their head. Only they know why they're doing it. There was a case of a missing person. They actually found this gentleman, but when they found him, he was naked. He was like up in a tree, and he said that if he took off his clothing, he could hear the voices more clearly. So I'm wondering if that's what was going on with Colin.
Especially when she comes off her medicine, she tries to commit suicide.
Later in the interview, I asked him if he had a tracker on Micah's car, something referenced in a March 11th police report, and if he was having her followed. He told me he hired a private eye.
And I hired the private eye to tell me if she would go near a gun store. That was the purpose. I said, can y'all track her and just tell me if she goes near a gun store? And they said, well, we can't track her for that reason. We can tell if she goes near a gun store, but we have to have something that's like, a divorce going on or something. I said, well, I guess we're getting a divorce. No, I filed for divorce before that.
At a news conference on June 5th.
So if you're divorcing this woman, why are you so concerned? Like, why are you hiring a private eye? I'm just telling you, this guy is extremely suspicious. And this case right here is going to grow legs and take off any day now. The FBI is all over this. They suspect him for murdering this woman. And so do I. So that'll be on the 25th. And then in between then and there, we're going to be scheduling a live stream for to cover the Flora murders. And we'll continue to do little check-ins like this in between all of these cases. And I'm sure we'll continue to cover the Delphi case and the Idaho 4, all of these important cases that are still continuing to develop. And all of these unsolved murders, you can catch those on the True Crime in the Morning. All of these cases that have been kind of swept under the rug, forgotten about. Maybe this person was, had a history of drug abuse or something like that, where law enforcement, they just tell the public, well, we were expecting this to happen. These, they went missing because they were involved in the drug trade or something like that. They just don't care. While the family is left there wondering what happened to my loved one, law enforcement just kind of brushes it aside. So those are the cases that we like to cover on True Crime in the Morning. And that's what you can expect from this channel here probably in the next 2 weeks. So if you guys want to send me any cases that you think would be helpful or that need attention, send them to me with a little bit of information about the case, and we'll cover it on True Crime in the Morning. Hey, what's up, Don Spain? Oh, yeah, he's lying for sure. I'm reading it all over him. And he doesn't care either. He's not bothered by it one bit, one iota. But that's going to do it for today's live stream, guys. If you need to get a hold of me for whatever reason, make sure you shoot me an email at sleuthintuition@gmail.com. If you're a new member of my channel and you would like to join the members only Discord, all you have to do is shoot me an email, and I'll give you a personalized link and we can get you in there. There's nothing too exciting going on in there, but it is a safe place for members, to just kind of hang out, get to know each other, and to talk about true crime and certain cases that you think might need attention, or just have more of a casual setting where you can speak your mind a little bit better. That way it's not so public. But I want to thank everybody who sponsored today's live stream. Hey, there's Mira with that flex. Thank you so much for your continued support. Welcome, Growing Crazy, to the Sleuth crew, and for sponsoring today's live stream with a super sticker. Thank you for your support. Cheeks, thank you so much. Nana, very generous. Thank you. And thank you, Cindy Lean. All of you guys and everybody who continues to donate to the Cash App and the Venmo. Honestly, all of you guys collectively make it possible for me to hang out with you and do this YouTube stuff and create this platform for all of those of you who follow true crime and try to be an advocate for victims and victims' families and bring attention to these cases. I couldn't do it without you guys. It's a group effort. So I appreciate all of you. And if you're part of that replay crew, if we missed you during the live stream, drop us a comment and we'll get back to you. All right. And if I missed your comment, I do apologize. Jinx, have a great day. V. Marie Hathers, happy birthday. Let me go ahead and hit you one more time with the Uncle Buck. So make sure you enjoy your day.
Happy birthday!
Woo! That gets me every time. Jinx wants you guys all to know that over there in Indiana, the Flora Memorial Walk is November 17th at 4 p.m. at the train depot station in Flora, Indiana. So if you're anywhere near that area, go show your support for the Flora victims. Show them that we care about these girls, that we're not going to forget about it. We're not going to allow it to be overshadowed by anything, and that we're going to continue to put that pressure on them. And we need your help with this, guys. And that goes for everything that we cover. So go share the videos, go subscribe, go talk about these cases, go and do some investigating, exchange emails, get into your Discords, talk about the information, and just keep it spreading, keep talking about it. Keep it in the public eye. And on that note, guys, I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace out. Have a great day. Members, I'll see you a little bit later today.